So I demonstrated this composition study in my beginning level art class. I figured I actually have a couple students that were absent, so I'm going to post this and share it with them. So we're exploring the element of line and shape and color, and also just a cool, very simple trick for creating a unified but interesting composition. So the first step is to draw several composition borders on the page. The next step is to pick a line type, and as you see here, we've reviewed and practiced a range, very basic contrasting line types, so organic, geometric, and dotted. And as you see here, I've started with the organic line. I'm not thinking too much about it, I'm just going with what seems right in the moment, kind of taking line for a walk. So the formula, I don't really usually have formulas in my art making, but for this study it works really well. So is to repeat your color and that line type 3 times in each composition. Maybe it's different from one to the next. Just really a way to break up the space. Maybe some overlap each other. So each one's a little different there. Now I'm going to pick a contrasting color. Got my green here, and I'm going to go with a geometric line and break up the space a little bit, overlapping the geometric on top of the organic. Also repeating in 3 different places. And next, go ahead and do the dotted. I like to emphasize one of my previous lines with the dotted line for some reason. Usually, I find myself doing this naturally with all of these demos. But then again, it's kind of nice to break out and let it do its own thing. So there's also this dash, which I kind of like this dashed broken line because it reminds me of stitching. Creates a good sense of movement and direction. Use larger shapes. My painting professor in college really drilled in the idea that whatever color you're mixing on your palette that you're adding in a painting, it was a painting class, use that color 3 times or in multiple places throughout the composition. Creates harmony, unity, makes things come together. If you've got a painting with a really bright, bold color in one spot, it can really draw your attention and then keep it there away from the rest of the composition. Okay, so last step is to begin creating even more unity by repeating some colors within the shapes, within the borders that you see. What color do I want to use? Maybe this blue. other than what I already used. It's kind of fun to see what interesting shapes have been created by the overlapping that you can just fill in. Color is the most unifying element. So if you've got markers running out, all these different shapes, the same color, that has much more unity than all, say, one shape with different colors. Your eyes makes this kind of fit together even though the shapes are totally different, and these are all the same shape. Bring the orange in here. Oh, that's bright. So unity in art is created when everything seems to fit together, and that the different elements placed create a sense of harmony and flow, and everything is just fitting together. But if you have too much of the same, it gets kind of boring. There's not much visual interest. So when you throw in some contrast, different elements like geometric overlapping the organic or contrasting colors, it creates visual interest. But then whatever new element you throw at it, if you repeat it throughout the composition, you can create overall harmony, flow, and movement that makes everything captivating and interesting without being too discordant, although sometimes we want to express a sense of discord, and that's perfectly fine. This is just an exercise and an exploration. No right or wrong, just a way to play with composition. See what comes out of it. So the second sketchbook assignment for my students connected to this exercise is to find a marble background that they made and create this kind of abstract composition on top of it with color or even just with black and white. We did paper marbling with shaving cream this week. Next week we'll do some wet on wet watercolor backgrounds. That way they've got some interesting backgrounds to draw on top of. And one of the sketchbook assignments will be to see what you see in the background and create a drawing based on what stands out to them. My favorite response from the paper marbling was that you don't have to know much about visual art to be successful with the outcome and like what you make. I think there's a lot of pressure to be good at recognizable and drawing proportionately, drawing things to look like they are. When you're first starting, that can be intimidating. But although we are going to learn faces and figures and proportion and rendering forms with a sense of 3 dimensions, but it's nice to start where it's inviting, playful, and to build a sense of success. Recognizing that there's no such thing as perfection. Sometimes the dead markers can work like colored pencil. And I think I'm going to go ahead and stop this now. I don't think these are totally done, but you get the idea. Happy making.